Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is going to be a book haul for June and July 2023. If you're interested in seeing what books I've purchased or have been gifted in the last couple of months, please stick around. As I said in my introduction, this video is going to be a book haul. I have purchased quite a few books in the last couple of months. I've also been gifted some books, and a lot of these are books that I really want to read soon. Now, they're definitely motivating me to want to read more. I generally tend to read less in the summer months, but seeing all of these books, I want to pick so many of them up ASAP. So I'm going to first start with a pile of books that I purchased in June. And the first one is a book of poetry called Some Things I Still Can't Tell You by Misha Collins. I have never heard of this poet before, but I stumbled across this and I thought the cover was so pretty that I needed to pick it up. I also really love the shape of this book. I know that sounds weird, but it's kind of more square shaped, which I'm really into. So I'm hoping to be able to include this in my poetry reading challenge for myself for this year. I am trying to read one book of poetry every month in 2023. The next book I picked up, I've seen it a lot on Instagram. I've heard it talked about a lot on YouTube. I just really like the title. I'm pretty positive that it's fantasy, though I could be wrong. And that is Nettle in Bone by T. Kingfisher. I'm reading more fantasy this year, so I definitely was curious and wanted to pick this up. The next book is another book of poetry. I actually read a book of poetry by this poet earlier this year and absolutely loved it. So when I stumbled across this, I had to pick it up. And that is The Truth About Magic by Atticus. Again, gorgeous covers. Like, this cover is so stunning. It's that like matte velvet finish that I absolutely love on book covers, but it also has some of the more like, what would you call it, glossy finish on it. I don't know if you could see it being picked up from the light, but it's absolutely stunning. I love the cover of this book. The next book is one that was made into a movie this past year, and I've seen the preview for it and I've really been wanting to watch it, but finding out that it was a book, I definitely want to read the book first, and that is Women Talking by Miriam Toews. I think that's how you say the last name. I am a little bummed though. When I picked up this book, it had a sticker on the cover, and I hate stickers on the covers of my books. I have to take them off right away. And I just wasn't being gentle enough when I took the sticker off this cover, and I ended up ripping the cover, which is a huge bummer. But the next is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I've read all of her historical fictions and have loved them. I've only read one of her other stories. I didn't love it as much, but this one has a really interesting title and cover. That's Forever Interrupted. Also, it is that velvet finish as well. And so I decided to pick this up. Not sure when I'm going to get to this, but I wanted to have another Taylor Jenkins Reid book on my shelves that I haven't read yet. I have another book of poetry to talk about here. This one I picked up because I just thought that the title was very fitting for me. And also, kind of just flipping through it, I really am curious about what I'm in for with this one. And it is called Sorry I Haven't Texted You Back by Alicia Cook. I am notorious for not texting back. So I almost feel like this book is calling me out, but I will accept it. If I kind of bring you through it, you know, it's a book of poetry, but as we get further along, it gets deconstructed basically. And I'm like very curious to give that a read. So definitely going to try to include that this year in my poetry challenge as well. And then the last book that I purchased in June is a mystery thriller. I just could not get over this cover, and that is Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton. I love how like dark the background is, but then we get these like bright neon green letters. It has this neon green spine. It just really caught my attention, and I kept eyeing it and I decided to pick it up. Now we're gonna get into books that I either purchased or was gifted in the month of July. The first one we're gonna talk about is a book that I actually read earlier this year, and I loved it so much that I wanted to have a physical copy of it, and that's Once Upon a Tome, The Misadventures of a Rare Bookseller by Oliver Darkshire. If you watched my mid-year reading recap, you'll know this is my favorite book I've read so far in the first half of 2023. I really love the physical copy of this book too. Like, it's got gold foil on it. It actually doesn't have like a dust jacket. It's just the book itself, like the hardcover book itself, and it has a really nice texture to it as well. Next is a book that I was actually gifted a review copy of, and that is Darling Girl by Liz Michalski, I think. Darling Girl by Liz Michalski. I thank you to Random House for gifting me this as a review copy. I am very interested and intrigued by this. This definitely centers in and around the world of Peter Pan. I believe the main character in this is actually Wendy's granddaughter. So I'm very, very curious what I'm in for with reading this. And this is definitely something that I want to get into sooner rather than later. The next book that I picked up was one that I literally only picked it up because like the cover gave me such vibes, and that is Ocean State by Stuart Onan. I did not read the back cover. I do that a lot. I like to go into books blind. The next one is a book I'm actually super excited about. I didn't realize that this author had come out with another book. I read one of her books last year and really enjoyed it. And so when I saw this, I had to pick it up. And that is The Last Party by Claire Mackintosh. No idea what this is about. A little nervous about this one, honestly, because it's actually really thick and big books make me scared. But again, I enjoyed the book that I read by her last year. So when I saw this, I definitely wanted to add it to my collection. The next, I think, few books I actually picked up with a gift card. I had a student this past year, and her and I would chat about books quite frequently, and she actually gave me a gift card as a thank you at the end of the spring semester, which was completely not necessary, but so sweet of her. And I wanted to use it to pick up a couple of books that I really had my eye on and really wanted to get. And the first one is The Marriage Portrait by Marguerite O'Farrell. I read Hamnet early this year and loved it. And I really wanted to pick up The Marriage Portrait, but I have Hamnet in paperback. And so I wanted The Marriage Portrait in paperback as well. It just recently came out in paperback. And so when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to use that gift card that I got and I'm going to purchase this and a couple of other books. So happy to have this. Can't wait to read it. The next one is one that I've been eyeing for a while as well. I've just heard that it is absolutely incredible. And wow, this author's other books have really intimidated me. I am desperate to give this one a read, and that is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This cover is gorgeous. I've heard the book is fantastic. And so again, definitely one that I wanted to pick up with that gift card. And then the last book that I picked up with the gift card was one that I actually had requested in ARC-of because the cover was so stunning and I didn't get approved for it. And that is the St. Ambrose School for Girls by Jessica Ward. Like, look at this cover. The black, the hot neon pink, the symmetry, like everything about it is just like so good. So I'm very curious about this. I think this is mystery thriller, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Next is a book that I received as an ARC that I am really excited to give a read, and that is The Continental Affair by Christine Mangan. This comes out in August, I believe. I don't know exactly what day in August, but the cover is really interesting. I think the title is really interesting. I'm assuming there's going to be travel involved. It's giving me almost 1950s, 60s vibe based on the front, but I could be totally wrong. So definitely excited to give this one a read. And then the next 3 books that we're going to talk about are part of a 4-book series. I have always had these books on my radar, but they weren't something that I felt like I needed to get to anytime soon. And so I hadn't purchased them. But I recently found out that they are being released with new covers. I think they're being more traditionally released now. And I did take a look at the new covers. And while I don't dislike them. I just don't think that they're very unique, and the original covers are so unique that I decided I really wanted to get them. And I searched so much to find these 4 books. And the first book in the series is the one I'm still waiting for. But the other 3 are Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings, Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings, and then Daisy Hates The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. And this one was definitely the hardest one for me to find. Again, very curious about these. These seem to be like a love them or hate them kind of a series. And so I'm hoping that I'm gonna like these. Just waiting for the first book in the series to come, and then hopefully I'll be able to give them a read. The next 2 books that we're going to talk about are books that I purchased during Amazon Prime Day. It's actually the only 2 books I purchased during Prime Day. I just could not resist the price of these hardcovers. And the first one is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. And then the second one is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I think I got both of these together for $25, and we all know one hardcover book costs more than that. So again, I couldn't resist these. I've heard so much about The House in the Cerulean Sea. It's definitely been on my radar for a while, definitely something I'm very interested in reading sooner rather than later. And going along with the TJ Klune theme, I was actually gifted a review copy of one of this author's newest books, In the Lives of Puppets. Because it is a review copy, I don't think I mentioned this when I talked about Darling Girl, because I got a review copy of this, or an arc of it, I will be putting a review of it up on my Instagram. So thank you so much to Macmillan for gifting me this one. I'm very excited to read it. The next is a book that I want to read so bad and just have not had a chance to, and that is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is Ali Hazelwood's newest release. I've loved her stories so much. I'm very excited to read this one. I'm hoping to get to it before the end of the summer. Next, we have a book that I read as an ARC. I loved it so much, I gave it 5 stars. And I wanted a physical copy of it, and I saw that it was being offered with sprayed edges and actually ended up missing out on it. And then they put a few back in stock and I jumped on it and I was able to get it. And that is A Most Agreeable Murder by Julia Seals. And again, the sprayed edges are just so pretty. Super excited to have this version of it in my collection. Next, we have a random book that I picked up. This one's super random, and that is My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. I think that I just haven't been buying as much romance lately, and I don't have a ton of unread romance on my bookshelves. And I do enjoy Christina Lauren, and I felt like I wanted an unread book by them on my bookshelves just in case I was in a romance mood. So I ended up picking this one up. Next, we have a book that I am so excited about. Okay, keep it together. Okay, I am so excited about this book. Oh my gosh, I think I like squealed so hard when I got this in the mail. Okay. This is an ARC, and it is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I'm so excited about this. Okay, this comes out on August 8th. I read a Lisa Jewell book earlier this year. I loved it. It was so good. It was disturbing, but it was so good. When I heard that she had a new book coming out, I requested this actually as a digital ARC, and I was not approved for it. And so I ended up deciding to try and shoot my shot, and I sent an email to the publisher asking if I could have an ARC, a review copy, and I got one in the mail, and I about near cried. I'm super excited about this. I want to read this before it actually comes out on August 8th. I'm going on vacation soon, so I think I'm going to bring it with me so that I can give it a read. Next, we have a book that has been getting a lot of hype, I believe, and I know that it's like a fantasy story, and I've been getting more into fantasy this year, so I really wanted to pick it up, and that is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This cover is gorgeous, by the way. Like, I think this is so, so pretty. Very excited to give this a read. This is definitely one of the ones that I want to read sooner rather than later, because I'm just thoroughly intrigued by it. Next, we have another book that I was gifted as a review copy, and I'm very excited about this one. I'm a little nervous about it, but very excited about it. And that is The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval London by Brandon Sanderson. So I know Brandon Sanderson is a huge fantasy writer. I've never read any of his books before. So excited to have received this review copy from Macmillan. I want to get to this sooner rather than later. And then the last book in this haul is very out of my comfort zone. This is actually, I think, considered a horror, and I am not a horror reader. Like, I don't even want to attempt to be a horror reader, but I've definitely seen this pop up a bunch on Instagram and YouTube, and I've seen a bunch of people who aren't really horror readers talk about how good this was. So I decided to give it a try, and that is The Last House on Needless Street by, I don't know if it's Katrina Ward or Catriona Ward. Definitely excited for this, thinking that I'm gonna wait until October to read this, given the vibes. And that is it for my book haul for June and July 2023. I have so many books here that I am not planning on any other type of book haul from now until the end of the year. There might be a couple of new releases that I want to pick up. I'm thinking about the third book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series in particular, and the next book after Fourth Wing. But other than that, I am not gonna do another book haul. Like, I am committing to that right now. I am not gonna do another book haul from now until the end of the year, and then hopefully in January I can do one, because I think starting out a new year with new books is just fun. I hope you enjoyed seeing the books that I purchased or was gifted. If you have read any of these, definitely leave me some spoiler-free thoughts down below. I'm always curious as to what you all think of the books that I talk about or share. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.